Hello, I'm Lynn. I've done a series of short videos about health and about me having a brain tumour, about some of the issues that I've dealt with, um, and various professionals that I've dealt with. And what I'd like to do today is try and summarise to an extent and draw some conclusions from what's happened with me over the last couple of years, because I've had some quite serious issues going on. Um, what it is basically is that I'm a big believer in holistic care. I don't think that treating a patient physically is enough. So what happened with me is when I found out I was going to have surgery again, which would be the fifth time now. Um, I thought, well, really, I'd like to speak to somebody and get some sort of psychological, emotional support, which I'd never been offered in 20 years. So, anyway, in a nutshell, that never happened. And it was actually quite, well, apart from being quite unbelievable how I was treated, it was bizarre to say the least. Um, I tried every means to try and get some help, and even had other people trying to contact doctors and GPs and whatever, trying to get some help for me, and nothing happened. And basically, I ended up getting worse and worse. And this is the situation that I want to talk about today. That I was left with a growing brain tumour, which I did discuss in another video called Grim Reality. And I was basically in a position that I was just going to get worse and worse and die. And that very nearly happened. And I can't believe the lack of care that went on. And this is what I want to talk about today, and see if I can make any sense of it. And also to raise issues that may hopefully help other people. Um, what I would like to do is draw on the video that I did called Grim Reality, which talks more about how ill I was. And on the positive side, look at Broad Green Hospital video that I did, where I got some excellent care. And that sort of shows the other side of the coin, really, that this care is available. So I'd like to talk about the two today and try and bring them together and make some sort of conclusions. Um, as I say, what actually happened was, I was becoming more and more ill, and this brain tumour was growing, and nothing was going to happen till I got some physical care. But all I said, quite simply, was, I need to speak to somebody. Now, that didn't happen. And this is despite putting in complaints left, right, and centre to the Care Quality Commission, to my GP, to the hospital, to the Parliamentary Ombudsman. Nothing happened. What did happen was I got worse and worse physically, which I knew would happen, and I nearly ended up dying. I was in hospital for a month in intensive care, totally out the game basically. Um, and it's left me now quite I can't walk now. I am actually trying to improve on that. Um, but this is what happened to me. And I find it quite unbelievable. And I want to try and look into it a little bit more. And I would hope other people would look into this in the sense of forming their own opinions. What you think should or shouldn't happen, and how does it affect, if you're a professional, how does it affect your practice? What is your role in things? So again, I do want to, it's no good going back and complaining, and because that didn't get anywhere anyway. I'm not looking for people to get in trouble and lose their jobs or make money or any of that. I would just like to raise awareness and use it for people to make their own conclusions and look at things and form your own opinions on whatever. So basically, what did happen, as I say, was I was left with no psychological or emotional support, and I ended up in hospital. So initially I can talk about the grim reality video that tells you about how ill I was getting. And then the broad green video, which says what excellent care I got, the rehabilitation. And so it's between these two um, that I want to sort of say, well, how could it work differently? How could this have happened earlier? I mean, initially, I was treating hydrocephalus and a growing brain tumour on my own with paracetamol to try and stop the headaches. It is quite unbelievable, really. Um, I'm just pleased that I'm still here. So hopefully I can make some use of it, and other people can make some use of it, because it was quite an experience, I can assure you. What I would like you to do is consider some of the bigger questions surrounding this. Things like, what about human rights? Where does that fit in with all this? Um, what about the safeguards that are in place supposedly for us, so that if you're not happy with services, there's complaints procedures, there's people that will look into any dissatisfaction, any problems with services. I was just passed from pillar to post and do this, do that. And I kept just repeating things, but nobody would actually take responsibility. I went to an MP, and again, it was just endless letters of, oh, I'm not in the office today, I'll get back to you. Um, how could it have gone so wrong for so long? Um, what sort of safeguards are in place for us? The Care Quality Commission, I was told, we don't actually look into issues like this. We'll look at it in 9 months when we go to the hospital. The Parliamentary Ombudsman, oh, you need to give the hospital more time to go through all the ins and outs. I didn't have time. This is the issue. I was seriously ill. I could hardly get on, use the computer. I had hydrocephalus, which is fluid on my brain. I didn't have time. I didn't have energy, and I didn't have, the ability to think clearly. Least of all, put in complaints. I just wanted somebody to take it on board, represent me. Friends tried, but they soon gave up. They contacted the GP and were just given the same old story, and it was just being passed from pillar to post. But how was this allowed to happen? I put in a complaint to a GP, and I got a bit of a whitewashed response. And we try and do this and that, whatever. Didn't, but again, I didn't have the energy or the inclination to sit and go into some sort of formal complaint over it. What I have done, and again, I shouldn't have to do this, and I don't really agree with it. I've changed my GP, because I don't know if you'll have heard the phrase, always pick your battles. And I think with this, I thought, I don't want to put my energy into going through lots of paperwork with my GP and putting a complaint in. I would rather do what I'm doing now, which is look a bit further into things. So I thought, I don't want to waste energy going back over things, and well, what would it achieve? The doctor would have their say, and oh, we did our best, or what? I don't know. I don't know. I really haven't got the energy to think about it even now. Um, but that was the situation. I did try that route. I tried every route that I knew available in terms of putting complaints in, to try and get somebody to do something, because it was unbelievable. I was sat here dying, and I don't know if people can quite grasp that. Every day, this fluid on my brain was getting worse and worse. And my issue was, I was psychologically unable to deal with it anymore on my own. I just wanted to speak to somebody, to get some sort of response, some sort of guidance, to look at, discuss what my options were, to discuss the reality of what I was dealing with. Didn't happen, and I couldn't get it. And nobody would put me in touch with somebody that would do it or represent me. So this is what I find. It's very, very scary. Well, it was scary at the time. It's scary to think that can happen these days in society. You know, everyone is living under this illusion that if there's problems with the health service, you can complain. If you want something from your doctor, you can ask for it. If you want a certain service, you can ask for it. That's not the reality. The reality is, and it's something, one of the few conclusions I've come to, and that is that professionals will often offer what they want to offer, not what you need or what you want. And this is what I found, and I've still found to some point that when I need psychological help, I wasn't offered that. I was offered physical help. I was saying, well, yeah, next step I'll do that, but first I need psychological help. I may as well have been asking for some bizarre fantasy as to ask for that. It was just, or talk some different language, because nobody could seem to grasp a very simple concept. I just need to talk to someone and get some help. This is too much. I've had 4 lots of brain surgery in 20 years. I'm suffering, I'm very ill, I'm getting worse. I know the outcome is that it will kill me, I know that. Um, Maybe I could speak to somebody. Goodness me, that was too much to ask. And what I say, I mean, my conclusion with all of this is I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what happened. I can't, say. I can only give you the raw material and say, make of it what you will. Look at your own conclusions. Look at your own practices. Look at what could have happened. Look at what is happening. Um, are we all under some illusion that things are being dealt with when they're not? And I just want to raise awareness of it because I lived with it. And I mean, I'm at the point now where I'm actually having to learn to walk again. And I'm convinced that I wouldn't have been this bad if I'd had surgery earlier. And I could have had surgery earlier if somebody had spoken to me and helped me deal with it emotionally and psychologically, but they wouldn't do it. So meanwhile, I had to physically deteriorate to the point where, and this did happen, that I very nearly did die. And I don't say that lightly. It's something again to get your head around, but that's how bad it was. I had a friend who was called into the hospital at the time to say, we don't think Lynn's going to make it. So this is what my friends were put through. And, that's how seriously ill I was. And that's the result of this. Now, I didn't plan any, don't get me wrong, I didn't plan any of this. I didn't want it. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to be so ill. And none of this is part of some sort of long-term plan for me in any respect of the word. It's just what happened. I was muddling my way through from start to finish and didn't have a clue what was happening, what to do, um, where to get help, and I'm totally in the dark with it, and still am to a great extent because I'm still what actually happened there. Um, why am I so ill? And I mean, a couple of people have said to me, if you knew now the state that you'd be in now, um, you'd probably do things differently next time if you had the chance to do it again. And my answer to that is no, I wouldn't do it at all differently. I was 100% sure of what I needed, and that was psychological and emotional support. And I would do exactly the same, even if it led to the same outcome that I have now, because there's no part of me that thinks, oh, I made a mess of that or I made the wrong decision. I'm very comfortable with the decision I made, which is don't treat patients just as physical beings like cars. They're not. They need emotional, psychological support to deal with things. And I maintain that to this day. And despite going through what I went through, I would do it again because it was the right thing. and I'm convinced it was the right thing, that I needed emotional help. And it was actually only almost at the last gasp that I decided to have surgery. And I don't know why I had it then, because I was so ill. And I suppose to some extent, I mean, maybe I have been trying to prove a point. And really, I had nothing left to prove. I was going to die. Simple as that. You either have surgery and live, or you don't have it and you die. And that was the point I got to. And as I say, there was no point. There was nothing left to prove. I proved how ill, I didn't want to. As I say, I wasn't there saying, look how much I'm suffering. This is my plan by any means. Um, I didn't want to be in that situation, but I felt it was the right thing to do. And it was just at the last minute almost. And my last opportunity, I'd actually refused almost the day before, still refused surgery because I said I haven't had any psychological input. I said I haven't had what I've asked for. And so it's not enough just to keep operating on me. And it was only at the last minute, literally, that I said I'll have the surgery, which is why I'm here to talk about it. So I'm hoping that um, this can be some use and that people can make use of it and look at practice and look at what actually is happening and look at holistic care for patients about are they getting what they want? Are they getting what they're asking for? And I think even with other issues, I mean, I did say in my other video what excellent care I did receive after I'd had surgery. Um, but there are still a lot of gaps that I'm coming across in terms of people will still offer what they think I want. I mean, if I can give you an example of what I'm talking about, I mean, I do get good care. I get still get physiotherapy. I've had psychological input. I was in a situation a couple of months ago, and I was due to go and talk at the university. It was the first talk I would have done for a long time, over a year. And basically, in order to get, because I live in a flat, and in order to get to the university, I need somebody to help me down the stairs to carry the trolley, the Delta trolley that I have to help me walk. And once I'm downstairs, I'm okay. I can get a taxi. I can get to the hospital. The problem I was ready to do the talk. That wasn't an issue. I was happy to do that. The only problem I had was I didn't have one person to help me down the stairs. So what would stop me doing a talk wasn't the fact I'd been ill, wasn't the fact that I was too nervous to do it, or I'd lost my confidence, or I had nothing to say, or the university weren't interested. It was simply because I couldn't physically get down my own stairs, and I couldn't find anyone to help me with that. And again, that is, to me, looking at community care. I asked carers that I have. I asked people that are meant to get you back into employment. Um, no, we can't. It's not what we do. No one would do it, and yet that was the one. Compared to what I was doing during a talk to a lot of very intelligent people at university, compared to doing that, getting somebody to carry me trolley down the stairs, I don't think was a big ask. But again, that's the reality, and that's what happens. Make of it what you will. And this is my other point, that people are asking for things. They know what they need. Don't just, I've heard this term about shopping lists, and you don't go into a shop and people fill your trolley, you go in and pick what you want. And it's the same with services. People need to select what they need, what will help them. I mean, I'm sure I could have got help with other things if I had no confidence, if I wanted to do a CV. All these things, they're all available in society. But just having somebody that will physically carry a trolley down the stairs, no one covers that. And that's how ridiculous the situation is. And I think that all along, I'm not asking for massive things. I'm asking for very little, really. It's quite sad, isn't it? But I'm asking for very little, really. Very simple things that most people could help with. And yet they're the things that are holding me back. I did, just to let you know about the university, I did manage to do the talk because I had to rely on a friend who I've had to rely on to do absolutely everything. And it's all fallen to the same person again. And I wasn't happy with that because this friend does all sorts, in terms of helping me out, shopping and visiting me in hospital and coming to see me and, all sorts of things. I thought, I don't want to have to ask the same person again. Surely there is somebody in society that can help me take a trolley down the stairs. No. So anyway, I say that this is the reality that I've been dealing with. And I mean, it's something just to refer to another video that I did about a profession, orthoptics, and specifically, they were a profession that I wasn't told about. And I won't go on about it now because I have done a totally separate video on it, but about the importance of what they do in terms of helping patients, but I wasn't told about them. So again, there's a service there that people don't always know about. And that was another thing that I was thinking, I'm not being offered what I needed help with my eyes, um, with my vision on a few occasions, and this is exactly what these people do, and that's what they're qualified to do, and yet I wasn't told about them. So again, I was told about all sorts of other things that maybe I didn't need or didn't want, but what I actually needed, no one bothered to look into that. Nobody said, you've got problems with your eyes, haven't you? We'll have a look into that for you. We'll see who can help. They'll offer, oh, we offer this, we offer that. Thanks, but I don't need that. So these are some of the issues that I think need highlighting. Don't just offer people what you think they want. Don't just offer people what you think they need. Ask them. Something that I do talk about um, is a situation I was in years ago when I was teaching, and I was teaching psychology, and I had a class of it was up mainly women apart from one man, and we were going to be discussing gender issues, and so I thought, I don't know quite how to, what do I do about this one man? Do I keep him as my token male input, or do I pretend I haven't noticed? And I didn't know how to sort of, relate to him. So I asked one of my colleagues, and I said, I've got this class of women and one man, and I don't quite know how to go about how to relate to him with issues that we're going to be discussing. And she said, well, why don't you ask him? And that is so obvious, isn't it? I was trying to second guess what he would want, how he would want me to behave, what he would like, how he would like to be treated. Very arrogant, really, of me. And quite rightly, as somebody said, ask him. He can tell me what he wants, how he wants me to relate to him. And I think it's something that we do all the time with people. We try and second guess. I mean, I think obviously professional input is very useful, but we don't always know what people want or need. We think, we can do this, we can do that. Do they want that? So I think that to me, I've always remembered that. And I think it's again so simple, it's untrue. With anyone that you deal with, whether it's professionally or in any circumstance, if you're not sure how to react or what to do, ask them. Ask them what they want, how they want to be treated, how they want you to respond to them. So simple. One thing, one thing that I do think needs consideration is the fact that patients are actually ill, and that often seems to be overlooked somewhat. When I was trying to put complaints in and get help when I wasn't well, I was continually asked to do things by everyone. Fill out this form, fill out that form, ring here, ring there. Um, I couldn't do it because I wasn't well. I had headaches, my vision was affected, I had fatigue, I was in pain, and yet I was asked to do all these things. And you need to do this procedure, that procedure, follow this, do that. Unbelievable. And yet I was in agony. I wasn't well. I couldn't see straight. What would have been nice is if somebody'd said, leave it with me, I'll do it for you. I'll take responsibility, I'll contact them, I'll fill out this form. But it never happened once. Everyone was like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. I was continually told what I needed to do, and yet nobody else seemed to be doing anything very much. It's quite unbelievable, really. Um, in my case as well, when my health got worse, I was struggling to communicate even more because I ended up losing my vocal cords and having a tracheotomy. So you can see here. So at one point, I was actually, believe it or not, trying to have a discussion about what I'm talking to you about holistic care and needing psychological support. And I was trying to do this with no vocal cords and talking to a solicitor and a consultant using, I don't know what they call them, letter boards where you have to point at letters to spell out words, using that and writing sentences down, lying flat out in a bed, trying to communicate with a consultant and a solicitor to try and get my needs met. And, they're not easy at the best of times, but when you're that ill, it's not an ideal situation, really. And I think this should really have been addressed a lot sooner. I know I keep laughing, but I find the whole thing so horrifically bizarre that I can't help laughing quite often, really, with it. Um, but I think, that is something that really does need considering. What I was continually told was, you have to do this, you have to do that. No one ever just said, leave it to me. I was also asked how I did see a psychologist who was very good as part of my rehabilitation. Finally saw one. And I was asked how long at one point I felt I'd need psychological support. And my answer to that was, I'll need psychological support as long as I need a brain surgeon. As long and which in my case is forever. I've been told I won't be discharged from hospital. I'm always going to have a consultant. I'm always going to be under the hospital with my condition. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm always going to need a psychologist. So and that again is my view on things. So why would people think, well, we'll carry on with your physical care, physical checking you out, but maybe we won't offer psychological support? Why would that even be considered? To me, the two go hand in hand. The other thing that I do hear is a lot of buzzwords, if you like. Things like patient dignity. Again, I would ask, where was my dignity in all this? Where was my respect? How was I treated with respect? The other thing that I hear a lot of is hospitals are listening. Maybe they are listening, but they're actually hearing. Because I didn't see a lot of evidence of that. And did anyone actually hear what I was saying or trying to say at any point and act on it? It's all very well listening, but you're going to take it on board. There's quite a few things that people talk about. Patient choice. How was my choice acknowledged? I chose. I wanted to choose some psychological and emotional help before I had physical interventions. I didn't get it. So where's my choice? Where's my rights as a patient? Where's my rights, human rights? A lot of the words are being bandied around, but I haven't found them to actually be actioned, which I think is really important.